Okie dokes. So welcome to my channel. It's the first video update I've ever done. Like, subscribe, whatever. So the new Google Omni video model got released today and it's changed a lot. Actually, it kind of blew me away about how much they added. The unfortunate thing is it kind of caught me flat-footed and off guard with some of the changes. Some of them are really cool actually, so I'll get into that, but this is a little preview of the project that I'm currently doing if someone stops beeping outside. And it's got implications, so I think I was hoping to put together a grand epic 15-minute sort of beautiful sort of documentary style thing, but the technology is moving a little bit too quickly for me to keep up, so that's the only little sneak preview I'll give you before moving on to some of the changes. So I just decided that as part of exploring the updates to the new model, that I would also look at just doing a little video for you guys. Anyone who's interested, if it's the one person who subscribed, thank you very much. You're most welcome here. Any more people who decide to join, I hope this is helpful. Let's go to my Flow project space. So this is the project that I was just sort of showing you a moment ago, but I'm going to jump out of this and go to my little test. So I wouldn't call it a benchmark test. It's more of just a look at how the models behave with the new updates, if there's been any specific changes. Some of them were quite surprising as I was exploring. There's a new agent mode here, which I can sort of demonstrate a little bit of. It was pretty fun. But the first thing was that I wanted just to do one fun little shot just to test every model. Obviously the old models are still there, they haven't changed. Oh geez, they haven't changed. So we've still got VO 3.1 Lite, fast and quality. Quality is text to video, fast is ingredients to video, light is just really basic. I do have a use case for it, which I'll get into. Omni Flash is the new world model, and I'll get into what I think that means. You've got different duration settings, and I think Omni Flash gives you an extra couple of seconds on the end there, and it costs you a couple of credits. So, I've got to stop doing that. Let me just mute the sound on playback for a moment. Sound on hover, off. So we'll go. Okay. Looking at the updates, they've added characters, and that was the first thing that I sort of wanted to play with. We had voices as a sort of a beta testing thing, and I think it was rolled out a little bit. I'm not entirely happy with the preset voices, so let me just get into it. So we'll start with Frank. Frank from Archives. He's a 1970s FBI agent, or rather he used to be, and he's been sort of demoted to the archives, and he's a bit paranoid. And what I've done here is I've essentially assigned something called a character info profile, and I suspect and I think that if you put something in here, it will lock the character to these personas. So that's pretty good for whether if you want to keep your character sort of consistent, playing on his paranoia, eyes darting nervously, sort of just being a typical FBI agent that works in a strange department, let's say. I had to play with his voices, so you can actually add and remove voices. So this is mid-40s exhausted gravelly voice male, which I'll remove, because you can remove them, you can add them back in. I tried a different one, but the voice just wasn't him. Section 4. I love the accent, but that voice was not great for him. That was a mid-50s sort of dejected agent. He was just tired, exhausted, over it, like many people in the film industries these days. So I went from the original one, which has to be anchored to one of the presets. So you kind of go for this very brief explainer, friendly mid-pitch, gravelly low-pitch, male, female. Yeah, so I tagged him to this persona, which is the baseline that the voice model uses to latch onto to build the 40-year-old male exhausted gravelly voice. So this is the original.
Hi there. We're introducing a new feature.
Very peppy commercial. And I did try using some of these presets in some of the examples. What I found was performance-wise, they were just too rigid, they were just too wooden, and just too computer mechanical. But putting your own sort of instructional voice in there, particularly once you get up to the more sophisticated video models, though the Omni one, I guess, is the one that you're looking at here, the performance actually improved and was acceptable. But any other model with any of these basic preset voices, it wasn't really working. So we're going to use Frank from Archives, add it to the character. I've established his persona. So going back to this, if we bake in the instruction here, then let's say Frank finds himself later on in a 1970s disco, being chased by a couple of other agents. I mean, yeah, that persona could be really cool. He's still paranoid. He still thinks they're after me, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, what if he's celebrating his birthday? He's not going to be paranoid about people saying happy birthday. Like, well, maybe he is. I don't know. If you want the freedom to be able to dictate the performance later on, I think this might get in your way if you bake it in here, but I just went for it anyway. I don't mind baking in character performances. It keeps them in persona. So we'll get back to image anchoring in Nano Banana 2, which is I think how I built Frank from Archives. So what I've done is if I go to my images here, you can see that I saved a reference image taken from a video. I can show you how to do that here at some point. But essentially I started off making this kind of hero profile style sheet of Frank from all angles, and I think these are the angles that you sort of need for creating a character. In fact, we can create a new character. Why don't we do that? And actually, I want to play with using the agent. So I'm going to use an agent here, and we're going to pop the dialog box over to the side. It's an untitled session. I can rename it. We're going to say what do you want to create? And I don't like typing too much if I don't have to, so I'm going to use my microphone here. Give me a Men in Black style FBI agent from the 1970s era in the style of a high fidelity anime, modern anime animation style. I'm going to create this as a character with a voice. So I need whatever it is that I need for that. Let's see if that works. It's pretty, oh shit, still recording. Oh, okay, so even though I sort of hit the button and had a bit of a fumble there, I'm going to cancel that prompt. So let's see what it does. It says, would you like me to kick off these 3 image generations costing 0 credits? Yes, it's pretty cool. So I can kind of just, if you want to call it vibe generating or vibe filmmaking, then this could be my new workflow. Okay, so that didn't quite work. So I'm not going to test that. I'm going to delete these guys. If you move to trash, I think you have a certain amount of time before it is removed from the project. And you have to be careful if you do delete stuff, because the ingredients or the images and the elements that you use to generate and propagate your footage and your references is like roots of a tree, and if you kill the roots, you'll lose the tree. You'll kill the tree and the branches that come off it. Okay, so in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this agent. You select that to return to your prompts. Always make sure that you're on the model that you want to be on to make sure that you're not burning your credits by accident like I've done countless times. So we're going to go here. I'm using Nano Banana 2, but I think Nano Banana 2 is going to adhere to your technical instructions a bit more. So you'll probably find that when you create your character, it'll automatically switch to that. So here's a little thing that I do to cheat. We all do. I do use Gemini Chat to help me with my prompting, because if I had to type these things out manually by hand, over and over again and edit my prompts by hand, it would just kill productivity and probably melt the brain out of the side of my head. So I've given it a prompt to describe a character, a villainous sort of 1970s FBI agent. I'm going to take the prompt. I'm not even going to bother to read this one because it's a test. So this is going to go into Nano Banana 2. Now it does sort of say that we need 3 images. And I think what I did last time was, because in the previous demonstration that we showed, each image hallucinated a little bit and gave us different looks. So what I'm going to do is bake it into one image and then crop the one image out, as I've done in this example here. So I'm going to do this, pop him in. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if that's 1970s look. We could spend time adjusting it, editing it, but it's just an example. So I'm going to go in here, and the idea was that you could crop it, off your desktop, download it, or you can just use the crop tool here, portrait. There we go, boom. So we'll do front view. I hope it doesn't take the text, because actually let's remove the text as a safety. I noticed that if your reference images have text, then there's a likelihood, a small chance, one in every few renders, that random bits of text might appear on your video render. So it's probably better just to keep it clean. So we'll crop this guy. We'll crop this guy in portrait. Probably don't have to be too particular about centering him. Crop. And we'll grab this guy. Ooh, go here, go to portrait, crop this guy. I ramble a bit from time to time. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is then save these guys to the project. 1, 2, and 3. Go back here, go into characters. We're going to make a new character. And I'm going to use Frank from Archives voice 2, which was the 50-year-old gravelly voice, because he sounds a little bit more villainous and probably doesn't need to be as emotive as a paranoid fellow. I'm going to add from projects. I think you have to add them one by one. You can't sort of select all with shift. So we're just going to make sure we're picking images, and what we want is, if you give it the first profile, sort of, mid close-up, that's what will get baked into the character profile thumbnail. But this is just an example, so we'll go add to character. We add one, and then we can add the next one, add from project. The 3/4, we want the rear view. Yeah, there he goes. I am going to give him Frank from Archives number 2, which is the more gravelly villain.
Section 4.
Paragraph. We're going to give him a persona, because why not? Might as well keep them in the acting frame. I've cheated and used my little chat to prompt. Describe your body and outfit. So within these brackets, what you want to do is actually just describe his outfit. So I do think that I'm doubling up a little bit in this process. What I probably created in Nano Banana Pro as a style sheet is kind of repeating the process of doing it here. I'm kind of doing the character twice, but I'm really not sure whether I want to explore building him from scratch yet. So I'll do some testing in the future about whether I am doubling up a little bit on the process. It feels like I am. There might be a simpler way to just do the same thing that I just did the long way around, but you learn. So, okay, we've got his voice, we've got his persona. We've basically added the same information twice into everything. We're going to hit the play button. It's probably going to spit out the exact same thing that I already had, but I've baked him into a character here. Oh, I see. So I've generated the same persona twice. Anyway, I'll let it do its thing because it knows better what it needs. I'm not going to tell it what it needs. So now, what am I going to call him? We had Frank from Archives. This can be agent, antagonist. Okie dokes. So let's go for, hit the play button. Oh shit, no, I shouldn't have done that. We'll let it finish. I didn't need to do that. What I needed to do was hit the done button. Cool, so we've got our agent antagonist, as you can see, because I didn't upload the fourth reference first. We don't have his face, we just got a generic body shot looking at his private parts, all the private parts. So we're now going to click on him. No, not there. Actually, it is good that I did that, because you can make adjustments and changes. You can then, if you don't like the voice of a character, you can switch it out like I showed you before.
Section 4, paragraph 9.
Section 4, paragraph 9. I don't actually agree that that particular voice matches this agent, but we'll just go with it for the fun of it. So I've cheated a little bit and obviously gone back to my chat. I'm going to create an environment for the disco ball. We're going to use Nano Banana Pro because now this is getting into artistic style development, all that kind of stuff. And what we're going to do is see if we can use the agent to, I don't know if it'll work the same way as Omni, with this world building. So what we're going to do is create a grid, which gives it a bit more of a thematic lock. So generate a 3x3 grid of many angles of a 1970s of the following. See if that works. Hopefully it'll interpret it correctly. Okay, so animation wise, I mean, it's definitely found its little animation style. I don't know how I feel about the glitter ball being, that high quality. I think that there is an edit that could be made to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop out a couple of angles that could be fun and interesting. I want to make sure that they're in the right color theme. Grab this guy, crop. Actually, instead of that, cancel. Can the agent help? And we'll say extract every image from the grid reference that I just gave you, please. Need to be kind to our new AI overlords and say please. Okay, so I can't do that. You can create a custom tool for that. Go to the tool gallery page, create a new tool, and describe what you need. Okay, might as well have a little look. Shot Explorer. Oh, what's this? It's a remix tool. I need to figure out what that does as well. What is this? Select an image. Oh, okay. Interesting. Select an image. Let's see how it behaves with this. Surprise me. Yeah, look, it's kind of interesting. But we're not going to play with that now. I'm going to crop out all the bits and bobs that I need. I try this one. It's quite cinematic in terms of, starting a shot, maybe tracking sideways, dancers reveal, paranoid Frank from Archives at the 70s disco entering the scene. So don't worry about the quality of the image here. The video model interpolation actually gets that kind of correct later on. Yeah, so this one here, I mean, if I had to just sort of make something up, this could be, the agent antagonist coming into frame. So we've got 1, 2, 3 images. That's more than enough to play with. And what we're going to sort of play with now is embedding Frank and the agent into a shot, maybe. Why not? So I'm going to try a less technical prompt on one of the older models, just because I want to see how much we can get away with being lazy and not having to architect massive prompts and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go to this image here, which I quite like. I think it's a nice establisher, sort of dancers in the foreground, Frank kind of moving through the crowd. I don't know if we need it to be a tracking shot, a dolly, but we'll see. We'll add it to the prompts. So I'm still getting used to the UI here. So this is the lazy prompt. So this is a very human kind of instruction. So it's not Frank, it's at, and then you can type in Frank from Archives. I do have a suspicion here that the order in which you add your image references can have an effect on, I don't know, the video model's logic and interpreting the instruction as well. We're going to go for environment first. I think you're meant to go for subject first and then environment. So let's try that first. So it'll be about Frank and then the environment he's in. The track, let's say the shot is a dolly starting on disco dancers and tracks right to reveal Frank. For audio, I think you have to do one of these things, audio. I'm doing it the lazy way. Frank is saying, I gotta get these files to Delaney. I'm picking really archetypal New York kind of detective names here, Delaney, police names. Oh crap. I asked the agent to do it. I didn't want that. Let's cancel that. Cancel the agent. Let's go to videos. We'll start with our light low priority, cost 0 credits. So what I like about this, having a 0 credit option, light low priority, the render you're going to get is going to be crap, but it's a first look, call it a pre-visualization of, you know, is the shot looking right? Is it more or less doing what you want it to do? Is it behaving somewhat? You might get some sliding, you might get some weird performances and all that kind of stuff, but if the shot looks kind of, you know, within the realm of what you want, then you start going to the next model up, next model up. Let's just see what this does. Again, I picked an 8-second shot, might end up getting a 10-second shot. Ooh, I've got to get these files T Delaney. Let's fix that, to Delaney. So I'm in the queue. While it's queued, I can kick off another one. Generally, I don't like to invoke too many queue items, particularly if I'm doing 4K scale ups. It's going to take a little bit of time. I have to say, feels a bit slower rendering these images now than it used to. That is definitely not what we wanted. So it's rendered a real world thing. Oh, no, I see why. It's because it didn't take my style frame here. Okay, so new UI, teething problems. I didn't add the style frame. It is pretty funny that it's done that. Now I've taken off sound on hover.
I got to get these files to Delaney. I got to get these files to Delaney.
Okay, so there's obviously some funny business there. If the shot's too long, it'll try to fill the gap with Frank's voice, hallucinating extra dialogue, all that kind of stuff. This is why I prefer to use a primed gem, let's say, with some technical architecture documents, pop it into a prompt engineer, let's say, and then create my video that way. Because you can add negative constraints, which is, you know, don't do music, don't do the canned laughter track in the background, all that kind of stuff. The shot's going to have potential. It's not a cinematic dolly. It's a little bit. Actually, it is. It's pretty good. Some of these characters are wild. Okay, so let's cancel that audio for a second. Let's go engineer an actual like proper prompt with all of the stuff we need. Okay, so we've got our CSACs, I guess is what we're going to start calling this. It's not coined or made up by me. CSACs, C-S-A-C-S, was basically what Gemini abbreviated for me, which stands for exactly what we've got here. So we've got our camera, subject, action, scene, style, audio. So again, I'm going to find all of the Frank ats because they need to actually be typed in manually to latch onto our guys here. Oh, and let's get rid of this. One thing that's missing from this as well is our disco reference frame, which I need to add to prompt. That used to be in a more convenient place, but I'm not going to get into it. And what it does is it helps us latch the style that we want as well, which is the high budget modern anime style, highly underexposed, blah, blah, blah. If you train your gem with specific instructions for your production, these will be a lot more consistent than the lazy way that I just demonstrated. So we're going to create a Veo 3.1 light, lower priority, 0 credits, 0 cost. And this is for rapid prototyping, making sure that the shot's going to adhere to how you want it to look. Now with these lower quality models, you're going to find that the audio performance is not great. That's kind of what I alluded to earlier. So you'll see that it'll be wooden, it'll be sort of wooden, and then once we go to the Omni model, the performance actually comes through. And if you use the preset voices, they're just too bland, commercial, and generic. And for some reason, the performance doesn't really come through in those. But once you train your own, using one of those generic ones as a baseline, you'll get a much better performance result. So this is test number 2. This has become a bit more of a tutorial than I wanted it to be. I just kind of wanted to sort of blitz through a quick little, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to. I just want to show you guys some stuff that I've figured out about the Omni model. Oh, okay. I mean, it's promising. I can already see that there's a bit of funniness in the background there. This person looks maybe like she's a little bit too real. Oh, no, that's cool. Do you know what? It's not bad. It's actually not bad. He's still clutching both manila folders. So I'm going to see if I can just make a little tweak to this part of the action, because I don't want him sort of coming to camera, breaking the fourth wall and saying, I got to get these files to Delaney. So let's try. He continues to walk through the crowd, being jostled, does not stop walking. Actually, let's not have him being jostled. Let's say he continues to walk, pushing his way past. Through could be interpreted in a really weird way by the video models, so I'll just say past the crowd of dancers, does not stop walking. See what happens. So this is just a really economic and efficient way of prototyping your shots, pre-visualizing them, to hopefully get the result that you will need in the later models. Okay, promising. Let's see. Boom, boom. Okay, so this is like a front on. He's just basically walking towards us. I don't mind it. Let's make it 3/4. And let's have him leave frame right. So in my negative prompts as well, I make sure, oh, there are no negative prompts here. That's interesting. If the model injects music and all that kind of stuff, you're going to get a lot of inconsistency between your shots in terms of music. It'll just chop and change. So my preference is not to generate audio. If there's dialogue, you're going to have to use negative prompts and add the music in globally across the scene later on. If you're only going to do like a one-off shot, fine. If there's no dialogue, who cares? You can just ignore the music and sound effects. In fact, I'm just going to pop in some negative prompts. Here we go. And let's see how this one looks. Let's see if he is a little bit more 3/4 coming in and leaving screen right. Just while we wait, one thing I will mention is these shots that we're generating, they're pretty, I'd say, cinematic style. So I'm not going for wild cameras and extreme action and all that kind of stuff. That's something that I might explore later on. Everyone's sort of really into the seed dance, high energy kinetic fight sequences and all that kind of stuff. And that's something that I want to play with. But we'll see. Like actually, there was another creator that I saw. He had an amazing. it was a commercial project, and he had 2 samurai fighting, and it was so good. So there are creators out there that are making stuff that's unbelievably good, and it's humbling, because I am an editor, and it's really humbling to see people coming up with such amazing stuff. And for all the hate that AI is getting at the moment and a lot of backlash, I see tremendous potential, and I just want to get, I want to get on the wave. I want to be part of it. For me, this is exciting. So here we go. So there's a bit of that I can use. It's probably giving me a little, I'll have to listen to his dialogue. few too many empty silhouettes at the beginning of the shot, but I can, you can cut the front end of that off a little bit. And what I am missing is that nice, foreground element that we had in our ingredient. And what I'm going to test is whether a better quality model will interpret that as part of the reveal. And this is just what do they call it? Rapid ideation. Let's happy enough with this. Let's say that this is just a really quick rapid prototype at zero cost, just to make sure that your thing is working. Let's do an audio check. There we go. So come on.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
I gotta get these files to Delaney. Love the accent, really funny. And performance isn't really there. I could probably add a few things to the prompt about his audio. So speaking with a terrified, breathless whisper. Okay, so that didn't really adhere to that instruction. I think this is probably a little bit too much. We'll just say Frank is scared, paranoid. Scared and paranoid. I think that's probably enough. I don't want to sort of dictate, whether he's whispering. We wouldn't really hear a whisper too much in a disco. So he's kind of like, I got to get these files to Delaney, and people might look at him and just go, "You're crazy, man." So let's see how this looks. I do find it fun creating this way. What I'm showing you is a really long and boring process, but kind of making the scene as you go along, sort of finding it. I quite enjoy that kind of process. It's always good to have a plan going in, but I also like the discovery aspect of it. Well, this is kind of interesting, promising. Let's see how this one looks. Where's my
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Okay, not as good,
I gotta
but
get these
the next model will probably interpret this a little bit differently. We could see if we can sort of force it and say, foreground dancer reveals Delaney. So we'll do one more free prompt, and then, if it at least does the foreground dancer, which it did in one of these earlier ones, I think. Yeah, it sort of did that, but I didn't like the angle. That one was a bit better, but I want what's in this image reference here, and it may get there with the better quality model. So that's something that's good to explore. Here we go.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah, it's a little bit empty in the foreground. I kind of want him to be in amongst the crowd, but as a free prototype, this is not bad. I'd say at this point, I'd say let's take it from previs and bump it up to blocking animation. So let's see. Let's go to So we're going to go for. So we've been on the light on the free. Now, if I wanted to basically say, hey, I don't want to wait for this. I don't want to wait for the cue. It'll cost me 5 credits. I don't think it's worth doing that. I think light, lower priority. If it's available on your plan, I don't know. Then we're going to go fast. Now, I really like the fast model. It's what I did my other project on. All this stuff was done with the fast model back when it was fast, low priority. And that was free as well. So I actually managed to knock out so much stuff without sort of burning through all my credits and tokens. And it was brilliant because if you gave it a really nice quality image reference, then the shot you would get out of it was really nice quality as well. And I don't think that there's that much of an image quality difference between quality and fast. In fact, I got better results from fast because it was more technically structured around. It adhered better to the instruction than quality. Hallucinated all over the place. I had no concept of gravity. It was floaty. It was nuts. So if we go to fast, let's just see what it does. I suspect this model would probably be good enough, but Omni, I think, eventually with its world concepting, will be able to give me more continuity across shots. So not necessarily me having to grab an angle of every single environment angle. Something I want to play with. So I guess I'm just sort of doing this as a little test to see how stuff works. I think I've gone off-piste with my planned talk on what I was going to cover, but it's all part of the fun. Okay, so fast First image looks pretty interesting. Ooh, I gotta stop doing that. I just need to hover.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Not convinced. Not necessarily too happy with that. So I do suspect that if I rolled, why has that happened? If I rolled 4, okay, I suspect that if I rolled 4 more variations of this, then, you know, the right shot will have hallucinated, but I don't want to waste the tokens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of do them one by one. I do find, unfortunately, that doing them one by one will often repeat the same kind of mistake. If you roll 4 at a time, I don't know why, but it just kind of, you know, it gives you a little bit more variety in your render, which is a bit more expensive to do it that way, but your results will be better. Okay, so if for whatever reason something like that happens, I'm not sure why this happened, you lose where you're at, you can just go to the last thing that you did, click on this.
I gotta get these files.
Let's kill that sound. You click on reuse the prompt and it should remember. You just got to make sure that you don't delete your prompts when you render. So there's an option for that here, which is, where was it? Is it under the question mark? No. There was a setting. Ooh, rendering stuff removed your prompt, but I think that they've, yeah, clear prompt on submit. I keep that on off because I want to be able to go back and fix shots, redo them. So I've got my corrected prompt. I'm going to have to @Frank. And I think that's all the @Franks that I need. Now what I could do is potentially leave this shot running long, so use an extension and then have, you know, the agent making his way through the crowd afterwards. Sort of like what they did in Collateral with Tom Cruise, but we'll see. I'd be curious to do that as a test to see if I could emulate one of those kind of shots. So this is the updated prompt with a new fast model. Crowds facing a different direction than they were before. That's okay. Oh no, I don't like that at all. That's terrible, Muriel. So I'm going to go back to the prompt that we had somewhere around here, which I thought was good enough. So I'm going to kind of give up on the fast model a little bit. And I'm going to go straight to Omni. Don't mind that one. Actually now what is interesting is Omni lets you add videos as ingredients. Omni, if I switch to Omni, you'll see that I can add it as an ingredient. I don't know if this is the right use case for it, but let's see. And we're going to generate one image, one video here. Shame on you, fast model. You used to be better than this. I'm sort of slowly getting used to doing these, this YouTube video. And it gives me someone to talk to. Waiting. I'm back. Okay, let's see what Omni's done for us. Hey? Oh, let's get the sound back up because I want this to be the premiere of my first Omni shot demonstration.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Okay, so not great because it didn't really use this image here. I'm going to get rid of this because I think it's sort of decided to latch onto the video as opposed to the style reference that I wanted. And I think that that's going to get us a better result. The voice performance, much better.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
No, I lied. But let's see if that changes. Earning another 25 credits. Yay. So not giving it the flash video reference has given it a little bit of creative freedom. I can see that some of the neon fluorescent lights on the back walls are garbled. They don't really say anything specific. Probably fine for what we're about to do, but let's have a look. I mean, oh, failed. Something went wrong. Oh no, loading my media. So that's probably more of an internet connection thing for me. So let's retry. No, why you do this to me? Okay, there it is. So I just needed to refresh my browser.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
I want more people in the foreground, more foreground consistency. So let's see if I can fix that. So I also noticed that it's not really sticking to the image reference that I gave it in terms of the angle. Because then the next thing I'm going to do, right, I might try the agent and get it to give me 4 different camera moves. Now I could specify what I want those camera moves to be. So I could try like an orbit. I could try like a top shot. Maybe try like a. I found actually that getting like a direct top angle looking straight down is very difficult to get. Like a drone shot just looking directly down. This is looking really promising. This is looking really cool. Okay, so he was meant to push through there. I don't know why he's fighting. I don't know why he's fighting twins on the dance floor. And he looks a little bit too big. He's a big American man. So let's see what his vocal performance was like in that shot, by the way.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Get out of here, lady.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Ooh, what happened here? Is this happening? Create with Google Flow. I don't know if it's my internet or if something is going wrong here. The number of requests sent exceeds the quota limit. What? Okay, let's go back. Sound on, hover off. Let's do this. I need to grab my negative prompt. Okay. Let's see what happens here when I need to add in. Let me just copy that. Oh no. Incorrectly assigned these guys. Grab disk. Wow. That's from my other project, so I'm gonna delete that. That shouldn't be in there. That shouldn't have appeared there. I don't want to delete it because it is part of another project. So let's. I have downloaded the 4K. So let's move to trash. That was from a copy paste, so that's weird. That's weird behavior. I'm going to move it to trash. Don't want it polluting the project. And actually, for the purpose of scientific research, let's do 4 OmniFlash generations because I think hallucinations are just inherent in complex shots with a lot going on, and it'll get some right, it'll get some wrong. Now, what I could do actually is add an additional environment image ref. If I go to image, what do we have? Well, I liked the establisher that we had, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So it does lack the atmosphere that we added to the image reference. We'll just kind of we'll play test a few of them, see if any of them are feeling right. It's weird that it does that. I'm going to refresh the page. Hopefully that'll fix whatever the issue is that it's experiencing. The number of requests sent exceeds the quota limit. I haven't generated that much. So yeah, look, if it's changed the environment, not quite what I wanted. What's this? He's cracking some dance moves there. Look, it added a kind of an edit. He's in the street there, not fond of that. Needs to be in amongst it. Again, why is this happening? Could be my internet, I'm not sure.
Gotta get these files to Delaney.
I feel like we've heard and seen that one before. Is that because it's still OmniFlash? It looks like it is. Okay, so we're getting some issues. I think, quality-wise, decent. Not getting the angles that I like, the control that I want. Let's see what we can do if we try to push the Omni agent to give us multiple angles of this shot. So I've got my little chat window on the side to help me build an agent request for this prompt. So I'm going to go to the agent. I'm going to go here and let's have a look at the settings, make sure we're so this is really important. Agent will ask you to confirm before generating media in case you accidentally hit enter and accidentally render the wrong number of shots. This is a bit of a casino roll, and pretty fun to play around with this because I'll show you another example of what I did last night, and some of the angles were pretty fun. So we've got a medium 3/4 tracking shot, tight close-up, over the shoulder. I think that for something like this, what will be necessary to make it successful is if it's like a long tracking shot or a long action for an entire scene. So we're talking, something that, you might want to cover in a 1 minute long sequence, which is nigh on impossible to do given, current constraints and given 10 seconds, but it can give you a number of options to explore. It's a pretty expensive way to do this, but could yield some happy accidents. For an action scene, like a fight, maybe, because it'll hopefully, I suspect that what it'll do is it'll keep the choreography somewhat consistent, and with the Omni, call it the world model that they've got here, environment should stay consistent. Yeah. So stylistic look. It's sort of cool. It's nice. Stylistically, it's very different. He's massive. It's added music, which we didn't want. Okay, that's weird. This is failing for some reason. This is failing. This is failing. This is failing. Probably my connection. So let's just do a little refresh. Okay, that's fixed it. That just feels like he's running late to work. Not what we want. Lacks, the mood and atmosphere. Performance is shit. Rendered sort of CGI, whatever. This is not bad. That's not bad. It doesn't have the moody kind of look that I wanted. Yeah, don't know why that's happening.
I got it.
Not overly impressed, I must say. Mainly because I think the style is lacking. It doesn't have the moodiness that I wanted. It didn't adhere to the negative prompts entirely.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Hallucinated keys. What files? He's lost his manila folders. So I would say, unless it's going to be something abstract, I'm going to avoid using the agent to interpret these instructions moving forward. I'm going to do sort of bespoke one-by-one updates. I'm going to go back to the original test shot that I was playing with last night, and kind of going through the same process of, I made my character, rendered light, low priority set of renders.
The discrepancies in the ledger.
So you can hear what I mean about using the light models giving a very wooden and non-interesting voice.
They think I don't see the discrepancies, but they think I don't see the discrepancies.
Yeah.
But the ledger.
So that one hallucinated some other random person's dialogue into the shot. That one's just, weird.
They think I do not see it.
So you can see, using the light model, rapid ideation, compositionally, is it in the right place? Is the motion fine? Here it's made him a little bit more rotund than he is in the other images. The office environment changed.
I don't see it, but the ledgers are completely wrong.
What model are we using in this one? That's still light priority. So because these were free, I just kind of ran a bunch of them. Here he's in a storage facility, not a records room. So in this one, I changed the voice to the generic Google provided one, and the performance is not great.
I don't see it, but the ledgers are.
So in that one, this is the first fast render that I went to. So still using the generic voice, the performance is not great, but the quality of the shot improved. Very simple front-on angle.
They think I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong.
Yeah, didn't like the performance in that one. What was the model on that one? Omni Flash. Yeah, generic voice, didn't like the performance of that one. So what's this one now? Not fond of the performance on that one. That's still the generic voice.
They think I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Someone knows.
Yeah, so this is where I grabbed, okay, so this is where, in the model, so here is where I actually decided to grab the last frame of a render that I liked, and just said, go nuts and give me a bunch of different angles. And some of these results are actually pretty fun.
I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong.
So I don't like the run, and there's a
The
bit of
numbers
a
don't lie.
repeat
Someone knows.
in the run cycle.
They think I don't see it.
My angle staring straight at camera, don't like that.
They think I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong.
Bit of an edit.
The numbers don't lie. Someone knows.
Yeah, it added a little edit.
They think
here it rendered a random real world character for some reason.
They think I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong. The numbers don't lie.
That's pretty good.
Someone knows.
But again, it's just a very basic front-on angle.
They think I don't see it, but the ledgers are wrong.
Little 3/4 Dutch.
The
Don't
numbers
mind.
don't lie.
Don't mind a bit of Dutch.
They think I don't see it.
Same.
They think I don't see it.
From
But
behind.
the ledgers are wrong.
Yeah. Look, I think it's decent. I think I'm not really sure how I feel about this at the moment. I don't mind it. I love the Veo model. Maybe it's the constraints of doing it in an animation. I'm not asking it to do anything wild. No crazy cameras. Let's see what we can do about maybe having Frank getting chased through the disco by the agent. So let's just see. Last little test here. Okay, so I'm gonna negative prompts, but let's just see what happens if I give it a little bit more information. And I've adjusted the prompt to read for a little bit more atmosphere. I told it to make it a really packed crowd as well. And let's see what happens. I was going to roll 1, but I rolled 4 because I forgot to do this. But given the complexity of the action, because now we've also introduced the agent, I probably should have gone for a 10-second render. The shorter the shot probably will get you. If it's a more complicated shot, a shorter shot will probably get you a better result. So that's another thing for me to play with. But because it involves action from 2 actors now in amongst a crowd full of people, it's a hell of a lot for the model to diffuse. So I'll keep it long, given that there's 2 characters would call for. It's fairly generic. I'm not entirely.
These files to Delaney.
I'm not entirely convinced that it's got the atmosphere. This has gone for a standard frontal. I asked for a 3/4, I believe. So where's my 3/4? Yeah, handheld 3/4 angle on the camera. So it's not really doing any of that. I'm going to go to the fast model because I suspect that it's going to give me a better result. Although fast, fast ingredients. Yeah, that's changed. So this is interesting that maximum reached 3 allowed. Why is that? I'm assuming that it can't handle the character reference, and that's bad. So I can only put in 1 character and 1 ref. So that's not ideal. I want to be able to put my characters in there as ingredients with their voices, but I suspect that it's because it's got 2 image references there and a voice, 2 image references there and a voice, that even if I get rid of this one, there'll still be too many references. So that's a problem. I don't like that. So what do I do to fix that? It's going to have to be the Omni model, but the Omni model is just not getting the look right. It's not interpreting a 3/4 angle. The style is not what I want. It's kind of feeling too crisp and clean and generic. I want it to be a little bit dirty. Yeah, it's also hallucinating. The agent looks like a vampire. Okay, so what can I do here?
Get these files to Delaney.
Yeah, it lacks that sort of cinematic kind of, it lacks that cinematic establishment. I'm going to see if I can fix it. Okay, going to switch back to OmniFlash, and we've got a cleaned up prompt now that goes back to first principles. We'll see how it looks. Oh, I need to add Frank and the agent in again. Frank from archive. That's agent. At Frank. Or let's see what this does. Okay, so let's see. Again, not 3/4. Some of the dances are not in the right style,
Files.
not adhering to sound, too empty. More atmospheric, but not what we wanted. This is back in the street.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, these are pretty underwhelming. So let's see if I can just manually update these. Handheld tracking shot moving backwards. The camera hold 3/4 angle shots. 3/4 angle shots. So we're not moving backwards. I think that's what's confusing the model. We've established that on the main subject. So we'll get rid of that. The subject is Frank, looking terrified, pushing his, and then not followed closely, followed by, so subject, Frank, looking terrified, followed by agent antagonist. Both characters, Frank pushes through the crowd, exits screen right, pushing through the dense crowd of dancers and exit screen right. They're not silhouetted dancers. Clutches, yep, fine. And not right behind him because that's a little bit too specific. So the scene, pitch black, 1970s. Let's not say pitch black, we'll say dark atmospheric, dark 1970s disco club, extreme low light, heavy fog, flashes of neon strobe lights, say haze, say disco club haze, 2D animation style, dark line, nearly underexposed, gritty urban aesthetic. No, we don't want gritty urban aesthetic because I think that's what was generating the street environment. And then, yeah, negative prompts are negative prompts. So let's just see what happens if we see if this is any better. Okay, so again, rendered a real guy. Didn't want that.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
You generally would want a little bit more, interaction from the crowd, but I think that's really difficult for the model to be able to diffuse.
Files to Delaney.
Frank's performance is a little bit funny. That one's not bad. That's usable.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You could use that in an edit.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah. Not bad. I think there's a bit of penetration that I noticed there.
I gotta get these files to Delaney.
Yeah, a little bit of funniness, and he kind of just morphs through them. Also, the characters aren't moving at all. They're just completely still. So we've got two sort of usable shots. They're not exactly what I sort of picture in my mind as a nice atmospheric shot established from this kind of an angle. I'm gonna have to play around with a little bit more to see if I can get that particular shot. Yeah, so I might leave it there. Other things that I sort of noticed that I want to sort of experiment and play with are these tools. So Simple Sketch, Scene Explorer, Mockup. I don't know if a lot of these will be useful to me. Drift, the image editor looks interesting. Particularly for motion graphics, which are a pain in the asshole, especially for compositing motion graphics and text on screen. Magic Mask, kind of interesting, could be fun. Don't know what Converge does. Grid Architect. Okay, so I guess that image that I added, that grid, that's what I'd use to extract the images from the grid instead of cropping them manually. Shader effects, all this stuff is really interesting. So yeah, these are things that I probably would consider playing around with and seeing how they work for a commercial project or a product project. Prompting, what do we got here? Develop your characters and their backstory. So I kind of feel like we did that, but that I might see if that's any better than what we got. Using the method that we explored. Creating storyboards. So this is kind of interesting as a kind of a rapid prototyping of a scene. That's something that I'm going to be curious to play with. Style writer. Turn your mood board into a style prompt. Not sure. Storyboard studio. Write a script, create, cast, and visualize a storyboard. Maybe. Prompt tree, organize prompts using a branching structure for precise edits. Yeah, might look into some of these. And so I don't know where that leaves me. I started off quite positive, thinking, oh, this is going to be great. Honest opinion, a little bit underwhelmed, possibly constrained by maybe not ideal image references, finding some limitations in how many ingredients I can use, adherence of the model to the prompt and its instructions, a little bit underwhelming. I do have to say that in my other projects, I've been getting some really nice results, some really nice stuff. Although these are more abstract kind of text to video using quality prompts. So I think it's horses for courses. I think it's sort of based on what you're trying to achieve. I did fight the models a lot when doing animation. I don't know if that's going to be Veyo's forte. So I probably didn't do the model proper justice trying to do an animation straight off the bat. I may need to do another video just exploring a live action project. So what I am going to be doing later today after I've had my late lunch is I'm going to be doing some cosmetic tweaks to my project, my live action project, live AI action, live action. And I'll probably give you an update on whether I see improvements to the model there. In the meantime, thanks for listening. If this has been useful or helpful to anyone, very happy. And yeah, I still, I'm a super fan. I still think that I can get this right. I'm learning a lot, and it's a bit of a process. I'm completely humbled and floored by some of the stuff that other creators are generating. You look at the top 1% of 1% of the creators, and they are producing astonishing stuff. I may need to personally explore a sort of multi-model workflow. So I am looking into 11 Labs. This node-based workflow is really interesting, and Higgsfield maybe, which gives me the competing models. I really had a lot of fun with Google Flow Music, and I got it to generate a really fun music track for me just by prompting in and getting it to add additional little sounds and tweaks as I go along. It's for a little show reel that I'm doing to get a little bit of work. And I guess I'll leave it there for now. I'm not giving up. I still have stuff that I learn every day. But the release of the new Omni model really sort of caught me flat-footed. It was a huge update, a lot of changes, and I got to figure out how this all works in this new environment. Characters, really promising. Voices, really promising. I don't know how it's going to work with the limited amount of ingredients that I can add, and there seems to be a lack of maybe it's a lack of my ability to prompt the environments and the mood that I want, but I feel like I've gotten better results prior to this model update. So I guess I'll keep tweaking and wrangling until I figure out the formula to get what I want, and maybe provide an update, maybe have a play with some of the other tools that they've given us to play with. It's all really promising. It's all really fun, and this is a bit of a hobby of mine, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for staying for such a long time. I'm going to edit this down as much as I can, and hopefully deliver an update soon. All right, cheers, thanks, bye.